Hey lady, couple of things that I wanted to just kind of chat through. So figured I would make you a video because it's a lot easier than typing all of this out. So number one, if you feel better tracking just from an accountability standpoint to see your numbers and everything, completely fine. The reason why I like to have you try a little bit more intuitive is so that you can learn from it and you can kind of see what you gravitate towards and where you kind of fall as far as like macros go. So sometimes even when we're doing intuitive eating, spot checking a day after you've eaten for the day, kind of seeing, okay, how did I do today? Is just another way for you to be able to learn where you can add things in. The other piece that I kind of want you to focus on this week is pay attention to what foods have what kind of macros in them and start to create kind of a dictionary in your mind of, okay, I know Magic Spoon has a good amount of protein for the amount of calories that it has, but it's still pretty light overall, right? Like I tell most clients that use Magic Spoon, it's more of a snack than it is breakfast, right? So thinking about your schedule, a couple really easy fixes. I mean, looking at the log that you have now so far, you're not too far off. Protein looks adequate. Super happy to see that. What I would say is when you're at the gym, think about easy, quick things that you can make and grab. So for example, rice cakes, nut butter, I could even do like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I know Becca likes to do that before she trains, maybe like an hour before. And the nice thing is it doesn't have to be refrigerated. You can, just keep it in your bag and then maybe have a piece of fruit too at some point in time in the morning. I'm not really sure what time you get to work. You'd have to remind me of that. But I know for me, when I coach at the gym early, what I will generally do is have coffee on the way and then something as far as like a piece of fruit, or I usually do those Ezekiel cinnamon raisin English muffins myself. I like those a lot, and I would put some nut butter on them. So that way, again, we're getting more of a carb with a little bit of, fat. And then you could drink your protein shake. I'm not sure what the policies are there, but I've told my coaches, you can't be eating on the floor, but I'm fine if you have, your coffee or your drink and you take a sip of that, between classes or while people are warming up and doing like machine work. Again, I know things are different there and having to wear masks and such. So hopefully that can kind of help. The other thing that I would say is trying to get something in right after your training. So particularly, protein and carbohydrates around your training are really important. But I would say on your way home, have something and then have your, bigger lunch when you get home. Not sure if you're napping. It sounds kind of like you're doing the split shift and then it's kind of disrupting sleep when you get home. You're not able to fall asleep and kind of wind down. So for me, to be honest, in the afternoon, if I have to coach our 4:30 and then I get home at like 7:45 or 8, I will have an afternoon snack or I'll have something at the gym like a protein bar while I'm there. But I usually eat my dinner and it's totally fine to eat dinner when you get home. Just again, add a good amount of carbohydrates there. So rice, beans, could be, tortillas, sweet potato fries, whatever you want to help with sleep. I'm not sure if you're feeling kind of that like energized after you have a dinner at 8 o'clock or 8:30 at night. But for me, total transparency, I will eat 8:30 and I'm in bed still by 9:30. So it doesn't really keep me awake or impact my sleep at all. So what I would say is kind of like chunk it out. Maybe your snacks are more in the times that you're at the gym, but getting in a good amount of calories in the morning still between your banana, your protein, and, then again, doing something like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before your training. Most days, if I'm strength training, I feel fine having something like the hour prior. Totally not, like oatmeal and protein powder and stuff because that feels like heavy and sits in my stomach. But rice cakes with a little bit of nut butter, maybe some slices of banana, those are always fine too. Outside of that, I mean, your food quality looks really good. Your fiber looks really good. Some days we get a little high. Like this day, I'm looking at fiber was like 37 grams. So as long as you're feeling, fine digestively, I think that's totally okay. I don't believe that you mentioned digestion in your email. I'll go back and check that. But just kind of keeping an eye out if you're starting to feel like, the rumbly tummy or anything like that, just looking at where your fiber is coming from. Most of the time, like this extreme wellness, it doesn't bother me too much. The other piece is if you're having issues hitting calories overall, what I would say is utilize a little bit more dense foods. So instead of having this high fiber wrap, get a regular tortilla, or maybe, just some taco shells. You could have 2 of those for like 100 calories, and that would help you from a calorie standpoint. You can also do things like red meat a little bit more, chicken thighs, salmon's going to be a little bit higher in fat, so it'll be a little bit more, calorie dense. Things that I find for me personally that are not super filling would be like quinoa. I can put that in a salad and kind of hide it in there. I can also utilize things like chia seeds, hemp hearts, flax seeds. Those things are going to be a little bit higher in fats, but they also have, more carbs too. I just know that hitting this 2100 calorie intake is going to be difficult if we are doing the, just like chicken and white fish, right? We want to kind of save, let's say like egg whites, shrimp, chicken breast, like plain, or chicken tenders plain, and like lean meat such as, turkey. So that's just something for you to think about, is some other like calorie dense foods. The other thing that I know I keep saying the other thing, one last thing that I want you to kind of pay attention to is what foods give you energy. So for me, when I have a high fat meal and a high carb meal, let's say like a burger and fries, like a really high fat, high carb meal, I feel pretty kind of like tired and sluggish. But, if you're finding that at nighttime, you're having, this sweet potato, the salad, it looks like here with, barbecue chicken, if you're finding that that's like keeping you awake for a long time, then maybe want to switch out the sweet potato maybe for something like a regular potato or white rice, brown rice, quinoa. I don't necessarily think sweet potato is going to be the thing that keeps you awake. It shouldn't, but it does have a little bit, more sweetness to it than other meals. I believe that you are aware of the flapjack pancake mix. Hold a second. The Mighty Muffins. So if you can see these would also be a great alternative for you to bring and keep with you at the gym. They're gluten-free. They have about 220 calories, 23 grams of carbohydrates, and then 20 grams of protein. So really good thing to have is kind of like an alternative for breakfast. You can just get them on Amazon. I ordered the variety pack, but I'll be honest, the double chocolate is my absolute favorite. So again, if you need something like real quick at the gym to just kind of stir together, all it takes is a 1/4 cup of water, and then you have to microwave it for 30 seconds. So that's another idea for you. Let me know if this helps, and if there's any other questions that you have. I think, the more that I know about your schedule would be helpful. The way that I approach this is if you had no break at all in between classes in the morning, and then no break at all in between classes in the evening. But again, if you can sneak in like that peanut butter and jelly, or bring a protein bar with you in the afternoon, and then eat dinner, when you get home, I think that would be good. And then, like I mentioned, eating something right after your workout, like on your way home. And then in about an hour later, after you like shower and stuff, having that kind of fuller lunch. So I hope that you're doing well and that you are feeling good. I know that you're headed out to Knoxville here pretty soon, and I hope that you thoroughly enjoy, that weekend. If you want to, you can maybe weigh sometime this weekend. If this is, I think it's this weekend that you're leaving, but if it's not, if it's next weekend, in the next couple of days, just spot check your weight again and see. I know you mentioned that you felt like a couple of things you ate were impacting your scale weight. And we actually just recorded a podcast with a guy that trains NFL trainers, and he was talking about, how even some of his athletes get so concerned about the scale weight and an uptick. Most of the time it's temporary, because remember that water follows sodium, and it does that because you need to shuttle nutrients into your muscles for fuel, and to repair. So if you had a poor night's sleep, if you had a really intense workout and you're really sore, I will be up like 2-3 pounds if I'm extremely sore from a lifting session, or if we've just had a little bit more sodium, like this day that I was looking at, 3,400. If calories were a little higher, I wouldn't be super concerned, but we do need good amounts of potassium to help the body utilize sodium too. So if you want to, you could also try to utilize something like pink Himalayan salt or coconut water. Both of those have a good amount of potassium. I think you've ordered the hydrate before from Top Notch. That's also something that you can add to your water just to kind of help with that sodium and potassium balance, so that you're not seeing that much water retention. But again, time of the month, as we've talked about, that will impact it. But most importantly, sleep. And that's what I kind of want to focus on this next week outside of calories, is figuring out how you can optimize your sleep with having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. If you're going to bed, at 9 o'clock, that's great. That's 7 hours in bed, but it sounds like you're getting home at 7:45. And if you ate, you weren't able to get in bed and fall asleep right away. So we might have to play with that timing, but hopefully, again, if you can add more carbohydrates to your dinner time, that should help with kind of winding down and helping you fall asleep. So sorry for the long video. I meant to keep it to 5-6 minutes. And of course I get chatty. Talk to you soon.